Hello everyone and welcome back to Simple Essentials. My name is Emmy and today we're going to dive straight into the 7-step decluttering challenge that I've got for you. If you're ready in 2020, it's March 2020 as I film this. If you're ready to clean up your home and your life in 2020, decluttering your home is a great place to start. Remembering as well that you'll declutter your home many times in your life. So if you want to take on this 7-step challenge, I promise you by the end of it, you're going to feel a lot lighter and a lot more calm in your home with a lot less stuff around. Naturally, you're going to declutter more times in your life, but this is a great way to get started. Before I dive into those 7 steps that are going to help you declutter, I would strongly recommend you go and have a quick look at my previous decluttering video, which is all about sustainable decluttering. So basically how to declutter your home in a responsible way. So I will link that video below and please go check that out before you actually get into this because it will help you a lot. So my preferred method for decluttering is to tackle a room or a zone at a time. I know there are other methods out there like the KonMari method that you might have heard of, which is to declutter by category. So looking at clothing, paper clutter, etc., and doing that by category. So my method is probably more around decluttering by room or by zone, and that's just how I work. But if you prefer the KonMari method, feel free to have a look at that if you find that helpful. Now, the 7 steps that I'm going to share with you now, or there's an optional 8th step for those of you with children out there, it's very simple. So in the blog post below, I have put a link to a printable PDF checklist that you can use. So anything I'm sharing here, go to the blog post below, print out your checklist or, refer to it if you like. It's just, again, a way of decluttering that I find really helpful, and I'm hoping that if you're looking to get started, this could be really helpful for you. Now, the 7 steps can be used over 7 days straight if you're really ambitious and you do have the time, or you're moving out and you really need to declutter a house quickly. You can do it over 7 days. For 90% of people, that's probably not the case. So you could spread it out over 7 weekends, or you could start and use that printable PDF checklist and just start with one little thing at a time if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. All right, so without further ado, here are the 7 steps or the 7 zones that I recommend that you tackle. For me, I normally like to start in an area that's fairly easy, which will give me some momentum. So the first room that I often tackle is the bathroom. And the bathroom, you obviously have things like, fragrances, skincare, hair care, hair dryers, hair straighteners, shavers, all that sort of stuff. And the idea about tackling the bathroom first is to get that momentum started. So I'd recommend that you check out the checklist for all the different items that you want to declutter as part of the bathroom. Next, I normally like to tackle a bigger area. So for me, the next area is the kitchen. And the kitchen, obviously, there's a lot of different components. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, so we don't have a huge kitchen, nor do we have a huge pantry. But I find that it's really, really useful to go through your kitchen because it's usually a beast, especially if you're a big family or something like that. But it's so worth it because it's an area that just builds up very differently to a lot of other parts of the house. So again, check out the printable checklist, but you'd go through things like all the bowls and plates and cups and glassware. You would go through things like pots and pans and all sorts of things like that, appliances, and just ask yourself, not necessarily the whole Marie Kondo question of does this spark joy, because I don't know with you, but my sandwich press doesn't particularly spark joy, but it's a useful item that we use several times a week. So I reckon it's worth it for me to keep it, for example. So go through your pantry, your fridge, your freezer, your cupboards, your cleaning products. A lot of us keep them in the kitchen, and just go through and declutter and use that sustainable method that I mentioned in an earlier video where you can choose to kind of pass things on to other people if needed. The next area that I recommend to go into is your wardrobe. Now, some would argue this is a category, some would argue it's a physical place. However you like to do it, it's up to you. But essentially when we're tackling the wardrobe, we're tackling all of your clothes. And remember, only declutter your own things. Slightly different if you have children and they're very small. Obviously you might declutter their clothes and stuff for them. But when you're going into your wardrobe, make sure you only declutter the things that belong to you or that are yours to discard or donate. You'd go through all your clothes, jackets, belts, all those sort of things, and make sure that you are getting rid of things in a responsible way, because there's a lot of clothes that go into landfill when they could actually be recycled or donated. All right, so we're almost halfway through now. So now you're going to tackle the bedroom. And the bedroom for a lot of people has, it looks different in every home. In our home, we really only have some minimal storage and our bed essentially and our clothing. For some of you, you might have a desk in there, you might have bookshelves or other things, or a TV and things like that. So again, refer to the printable checklist, but you'd be looking through your whole room, including furniture pieces that might not belong there or be very useful, any decor, blankets, pillows, a bunch of things like that. So work your way through your bedroom, excluding your wardrobe that you did in the step before. So now we're more than halfway, and now we're going to tackle another beast that can take a little bit longer for some people, which is your study or your home office if you have one. In our case, we do have a second bedroom, which is sort of a spare room slash study office. And in that room, we store a lot of our paperwork and things like that. So a key thing when you're tackling your study is to look at things like stationery. You would look at things like important papers, decluttering that. A lot of us keep way more paperwork than we actually need to. So obviously make sure that you keep anything necessary for tax purposes and things like that. But other than that, go through and declutter what you can. Obviously shred anything sensitive so that doesn't go straight in your bin or your recycling bin. And go through your study. And again, every room you go through, look at the furniture, look at the decor, look at the art on the wall, and ask yourself if that would be more suited to go in another room or donate it all together. Because very often we think we need more furniture pieces than we do, but a key thing I've noticed with minimalism is that when we remove bulky furniture pieces, the space really opens up. So that's why you have that zone I recommended in my last video, to have a zone to put all those items in that you have decluttered. All right, we're almost there. We're on the home stretch. Now we're going to tackle number 6 is your living room. So in the living room, again, every family has a different layout and all that sort of stuff, but you'd probably have some furniture pieces. So again, assess if these furniture pieces are functional or useful or you like them. And if there are furniture pieces that you can get rid of that hold a lot of clutter, for example, if you have a big bookshelf and it just tends to gather a lot of clutter, ask yourself if you can get rid of or restructure some of that furniture that you have. You want to look over things like games, electronics, books if you have them, any decor, anything that's stored out here in the living room that might not belong here in the first place and might need to go to another home. So go through your living room. Again, the printable checklist has a bunch of little prompts that you can kind of follow along and tick the list if you like. We are almost done now. The 7th step is probably one of the biggest areas, and you may need help with this, but it's your storage or your garage. Where I live, we live in an apartment building, so we don't have a garage, but we do have a car park area downstairs with a storage cage where we can store and lock up some of our bigger items. So I recommend that you tackle this probably together with, if you're in a family or in a couple, you might want to have the rest of the family or at least your partner helping you out with this, because it can be a bit bulky and a bit big. But essentially with your storage, you'll go through things like seasonal decor, luggage, suitcases, sporting equipment, camping gear, things like that. So obviously anything that is useful or anything that you enjoy or anything that you find that you haven't used in a while that you know that you want to be using in the future, obviously hold on to that. Now, if you have a garage rather than just a little storage area or a few storage closets, again, you may want to spread this out. But I tend to tackle it as a section and try and get through as much as I can. If you have a big garage, it might be 1 or 2 days on a weekend that actually needs to be allocated to this. And finally, the 8th step, which is optional for those of you with children, is you probably want to tackle your kids' room. So you want to probably go through their clothing, toys, games, arts and crafts. Sentimental items is a big part with children. You want to obviously hold on to some of that artwork and some of the things that mean a lot to you that they've made. But the important thing here is to at least, even if you're not going to go through all the sentimental items now, you can box them up and save that for later and use that as a dedicated declutter. If you feel like it's going to slow you down, just group those items together in a box or a bag and come back to it at a later time when you feel more equipped to do so it doesn't hold you back or stop you. That's it. Those are the 7 or optional 8th steps that you can use when you're decluttering your home. And I hope that you have fun with this challenge. Go easy on yourself, but do tackle one thing at a time. And if you have any questions or comments about how to use this method, please feel free to leave any comments here below or reach out to me via the email address that I'll also leave in the description box below. Remember to download that printable PDF checklist. You can use it and literally tick off the different areas that you've gone through, and it's great for keeping that momentum and energy up. All the best with your decluttering, and I look forward to see you in the next video.